Well, I was born in a town called Audubon, southwest Iowa, right where it ought to been. 23 houses, 14 saloons, and a feed mill in 1930. Had a neon sign said Squealer Feeds, and the bus came through when they felt the need. And they stopped there in town at a place called the Old Home Cafe. Now, my daddy was a music-loving man. He stood 6'7", had big old hands. He'd lost 2 fingers in a chainsaw, but he could still play the violin. And Mom played piano, just the keys in the middle, and Dad played a storm on his 3-fingered fiddle, 'cause that's all there was to do back there, folks, except go downtown and watch haircuts. So I was raised on Dust Bowl tunes. You see, I had a 6-tube radio and no TV. It was so doggone hot I had to wet the bed in the summer just to keep cool. Yeah, many's a night I'd lay awake, a-waiting for a distant station break, just a-settin' and a-wettin' and a-lettin' that radio fry. Well, I listened to Nashville and Tulsa and Dallas, and Oklahoma City gave my ear a callus. And I'll never forget them announcers at 3 a.m. They'd come on and say, "Friends, there's many a soul who needs us, so send them cards and letters to Jesus." That's Jesus, friends, in care of Del Rio, Texas. But the place I remember on the edge of town was a place where you really got the hardcore sound. Yeah, a place where the truckers used to stop on their way to Des Moines. There were signs all over the windowsills like, "If the devil don't get you, then Roosevelt will," and "The bank don't sell no beer, and we don't cash no checks." Now, them truckers never talked about nothing but haulin', and the 4-letter words was really appallin', and they thought them hometown gals was nothing but toys for their amusement. Rode Chevys and Macs and big old stacks. They was always complaining about their livers and backs, but they was some fast-living, strung-out, truck-driving son of a guns. Now, the girl waiting tables was really classy. Had a rebuilt motor on a fairly new chassis. And she knew how to handle them truckers. Name was Mavis Davis. Yeah, she'd pour 'em some coffee and bat her eyes and listen to 'em tell her some big fat lies. Then she'd ask 'em how the wife and kids was back there in Joplin. Now, Mavis had all of her ducks in a row. Weighed 98 pounds, put on quite a show. Remind you of a couple of Cub Scouts trying to set up a Sears Roebuck pup tent. There's no proposition that she couldn't handle. Next to her, nothing could hold a candle. Not a hell of a lot upstairs, but from there on down, Disneyland. Now, the truckers, on the other hand, was really crass. Remind you of fingernails scratching on glass, stomping on in, leaving tracks all over the Montgomery Ward's linoleum. Yeah, they'd pound them counters and kick them stools. They was always picking fights with the local fools. But one look at Mavis and they turned into a bunch of tomcats. Well, I'll never forget them days gone by. I was just a kid, about 4 foot high. But I'll never forget that lesson in picking and singing, the country way. Yeah, them walking, talking, truck stop blues came back to life in '72 as the Old Home Filler-Up and Keep On a Truckin' Cafe.